Hello world, this is your guy Guitar K, and the title of today's video is It Dumb or Is It You? Okay, look man. Just to give you an example of what we're talking about. When somebody disagrees with something or they're not trying to do it or they can't do it, they quick to dismiss it. And they will go as so far to call it dumb. And this could be from something minimal to something major. All right. Let's give you some examples. If somebody not trying to watch a movie, they might say something like, man, I ain't trying to watch this dumbass movie. Or let's say they might be not trying to go to Cheesecake Factory. She may say, I ain't trying to go to no dumbass Cheesecake Factory. All right. Those are minimal. You don't have to watch the movie. You don't have to go to Cheesecake Factory. Also, I would argue to say you don't have to call it dumb. But I get it. Let's move into some of the major issues here. I have heard people say, and I quote, man, I ain't trying to read them dumbass books.
What?
I ain't trying to do no dumbass math. Huh? Why they trying to teach me this dumbass algebra? Huh? Come on, man. Are the books dumb? Is the math dumb? Or is it you? That's a good question. Why would you say a statement like that? When you say statements like that, you're making yourself look, dare I say, dumb. Now, this video is not to judge nobody. I'm trying to put you up on some game. Don't dismiss things by calling it dumb. A lot of times, it's better just not to say nothing. Look, you could seem a lot smarter if you don't open your mouth and let us know just how, I'm not going to say dumb, but just how not smart you are. In Narcotics Anonymous, we use some terms like indifference and intolerance. And the beauty about those terms is they can be served everywhere. It don't have to be just in Narcotics Anonymous. Now, we use them to say that if you have a lot of indifference and a lot of intolerance, you're going to stay stuck in your old way. You're not going to be able to move on. Hence, you're not going to be able to get clean. And they use it like this. If you have indifference and intolerance towards spiritual principles, especially the main three, which is honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That is the main acronym of how the program is worked. H is the honesty. O is the open-mindedness. W is the willingness. Now, if you have indifference and intolerance towards those three spiritual principles, you're never going to get it. Okay. What does indifference mean? Now, indifference mean you think ain't nothing wrong. You're like, I don't need to do nothing. Indifference will keep you from taking any action. It will keep you standing where you stand, which is the problem. You can't keep standing where you're standing. You need to move. You need to do something. Indifference can be real dangerous in any area. Let's say if somebody has high blood pressure, and the doctor tell you that you need to do some things to lower your blood pressure. If you're indifferent about it, you're not going to do said things. You're going to stay with the high blood pressure. You're probably going to have a heart attack and die. That's how serious indifference is. All right. Intolerance. Intolerance is you always the problem. You're never trying to be in the solution. You're always in conflict of whatever somebody else is saying, even when what they're saying is right. You are willing to be Thelma and Louise and drive off the cliff and die rather than to admit that this person might be right or that this person can help you. Intolerant. Nobody can't tell you anything. My grandmother would say your head is hard as a brick. Can't nobody tell you nothing. That's when you're intolerant. And they say that intolerance and indifference gonna keep you stuck. I don't know if that's making any sense to anybody, but it makes a lot of sense to me. I used to be both of those things. You couldn't tell me nothing. Or if I didn't think I needed to change anything, and that's just true in anything. Nobody's not going to do anything until they're ready to do it. You got to move out of that indifference. You got to move out of that intolerance, man. Look, is it dumb or is it you? I've even heard people say, man, I ain't doing no dumbass program. Man, I ain't doing that. Why is it dumb? Are you certified? Did you go to school to be spitting out what's smart and what's dumb? Don't dismiss something as dumb. It's best to just keep your mouth closed. If you disagree, just keep your mouth closed. You ever seen Get Rich or Die Trying when Terrence Howard His character had the whereabouts to sit in that car and say, because I could be wrong, or I might be right, but even when I'm wrong and I might be right, and he went on this whole spiel and he talked circles, and they still ended up to be in the same place talking about I could be right, but I could be wrong. That is like the stark example of intolerance and indifference. It makes no sense to be that, because at the end of the day, it's going to keep you stuck. Well, I guess it does make sense if you want to be stuck. But right now, I'm talking to the people that don't want to be stuck. I'm talking to the people that do want to change. I'm talking to the people that do want a new way of life. You got to break out of that indifference. You got to break out of that intolerance, man. Look, it's just critical. It is absolutely necessary that you're going to have to be open-minded. You're going to have to be willing, and you're going to have to get honest. And, people like to hear them little slick sayings like, what you eat don't make me shit, and, different strokes, and, that might work for you. But when you're dealing with principles, that's the thing about principles, man. Principles work everywhere. Honest is honest. Open-minded is open-minded. Willing is willing. You can't throw in those little slick cliches and try to combat that. Let me give you a stark example of a principle. Let's say somebody say that they're trying to be faithful to their partner. And I say, okay, the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to stop cheating. You're going to have to stop sleeping with that other person. Now, if they say something crazy like, well, that might work for you, how dumb does that sound? That means that you don't want to be faithful. That is not how it works for me. That is how you stop cheating. You stop having sex with somebody other than your partner. You can't use that slick cliche in that. That is the principle. That is the honest fact. That is how you do it. You can't say, oh man, now what you eat don't make me shit. I could still sleep with her, and I'm not cheating. Dingbat. How much sense does that make? But somebody that want to be intolerant, somebody that want to be indifferent, they will sit there in your face and argue that fact with you, like I said, until they're blue in the face and try to make it make sense just because they don't want to agree with you. Or at the end of the day, the real fact is they don't want to change. They don't want to stop. Indifference and intolerance. It's either you do or you don't. If you want to change, you will stop being indifferent. You will stop being intolerant. You will get honest. You will get open-minded, and you will be willing to do the things that is necessary to change. That's just how it is, man. You're going to have to need those spiritual principles. You need them. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to have to get serious about this thing, man. This is not a game. You got to stop being part of the problem. Matter of fact, if you're not in the solution, you're in the problem. There's no two ways about it. There's no, you can't be halfway in, halfway out. If you're not all the way in the solution, you're still in the problem. Some people just got a problem for every solution. Everything you tell them. Won't you try this? Nah, man, that ain't gonna work. Won't you try that? Nah, man, that ain't gonna work. What? Do you want to try it? Are you willing to try this honesty thing? Are you willing to try this open-mindedness thing? Are you willing? Are you willing? If you are, if you're willing to try, if you want to change, you are willing. You will be willing. If you want to change, you will become open-minded. If you want to change, you will get honest with yourself and just cut out the BS, man. It's time to grow up. You got to leave the childish ways behind, man. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If you want to get something that you never had, you're going to have to be willing to do some things you never done. I don't care if it's comfortable. I don't care if you like it. You're going to have to start following this way. You're going to have to start following this way, man. Look, this is such a serious topic, but it doesn't get talked about enough, man. Principles. The principles are the principles. See, principles are like a lighthouse. It's lighthouses that's out in the ocean so that the boats don't hit the shore. Now, when you're out in the ocean, you can freestyle and, sail where you want to. But if you don't want to hit that shore, you better pay close attention to them lighthouses. Because when you get close to that shore don't play. That shore don't move. You can't be close to that shore talking about something, oh man, whatever works for you. Because you hit that shore, we're going to find out what works when you crash and when you sink and when you die. Principles are like lighthouses, man. You're going to need these lighthouses of honesty, of open-mindedness, of willingness, of being kind, practicing patience. They're principles, man. These things are clear-cut across the board. You're going to need to practice them. Stop being indifferent. Stop being intolerant. Stop being a knucklehead, man. At the end of the day, you're going to have to open your mouth and ask for help. You're going to have to close your mouth and stop telling everybody what you know, what you don't need. Because at the end of the day, our old ways is what's got us in certain positions that we're trying to change from, man. You know, the old timers, they would say what you need to do is take the cotton out of your ears, stick it in your mouth, listen and learn. Stop being indifferent. Stop being intolerant. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more